We're going to be talking about the gambling issue. Another player from the Detroit Lions being investigated for gambling. Tired of this thing, and we're going to do OTA observations for the first week. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of the Detroit Lions and you like to hear it from fan perspective like myself, former player and Herman Moore, you need to subscribe because that's all we do, and we drop videos nearly every single day. Let's go. I am absolutely tired of talking about the gambling thing. I'm tired of talking about players from the Detroit Lions being investigated for gambling. As you already know, Jameson Williams was suspended the first 6 games of the 2023 NFL season. C.J. Moore, Quintez Cephus were released because they're suspended for the year. And then Berryhill as well was a Lions player that the Lions released and wasn't making the team anyways. But now there is another player from the Detroit Lions being investigated, and ESPN talked about there's another wave of investigations regarding gambling, and this time it was not a prominent player from the 2022 team. It's unclear what player is still on the line, if the player is still on the Lions roster, or if he's not, or if suspension is imminent or not. All I know is this is getting ridiculous. Tired of it. Tired of this gambling stuff. My God, just get it done with. As long as it's not a prominent player, that's good. But I am tired of the gambling thing. Tired of it. Detroit Lions getting hit for it. It needs to go away. And hopefully this is the end of gambling gate here in Detroit, because this is getting ridiculous. Can we move on with what really matters and talking about the OTAs, training camp, and the NFL season, not suspensions and gambling? Man, this has been one of those annoying gnats that's been sitting on the Detroit Lions this year. It definitely has been. So it is what it is. Another player can get investigated. If it's not on the team, great. If it's a player that we generally don't care about, release him, because tired of hearing about it. But here we got some observations from OTAs. Unfortunately, I have to read you this and read it from other reporters because I'm not at OTAs. I can't be there. Only for training camp that I can do that. But thank you for Pride of Detroit putting this down. Talking about how Jared Goff had a shaky start. He missed a couple passes on 11-on-11 and 7-on-7 drills. Is that worrisome? No, we're talking about OTAs, and a lot of rust is going to be on there. And generally speaking, the defense is always better in OTAs in the beginning of training camp than it is the offense. He missed some passes to Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams. Wow, is that really to be expected? Guys that he hasn't really practiced with. And he had a wide open shot to Josh Reynolds during 7-on-7. Nate Sudfeld did well in OTAs. He looked good in his impressions. The pocket was there. He stood in the pocket, threw the football, but he did throw an interception, though. Does it really matter? No. Jared Goff is much better than Nate Sudfeld. To me, we'll see Jared Goff settle down once he gets the chemistry with these guys in training camp and then preseason and obviously in the regular season. And we've seen it sometimes where Jared Goff will have an off game. Hell, in the last game of the year with Green Bay, he was a little bit off for about the quarter and a half, and then he got on target, warmed up, and did his things. And as you know, the Detroit Lions with Matthew Stafford was notoriously bad in the first half, so it just is what it is. I remember saying when Matthew Stafford was here that we need to have 5 quarters, and the first quarter just was him warming up. But it is what it is right there. Lions running backs, they started slow with Gibbs. Obviously, he was coming off an injury, but I've seen it too. I've seen the videos. He has some fast bursts, and he looked like he cut well, even though that he was dinged up a little bit. But it was really nice to see him out there get those reps, because I was watching it. You can watch it on YouTube on the Detroit Lions' own YouTube channel. Check it out. You can see him doing it, but they're making him slow, as he should be. Jamar Jefferson was making a pretty good plays as well. That's interesting because he's going to be going against Mahabram Ibrahim, the undrafted free agent. So Jamar Jefferson better make a lot of progress. He better do well, because he's in a world of hurt if he doesn't. I think he does not make the team, but in OTAs he was the first team offense. Again, Montgomery injured. When it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs, slow. So it is what it is. He did diss himself kicking onside, and he beat up actually Jack Campbell on a rep, so that's really nice to hear for him. He's got to do it. Shane Zylstra had a good moment there, biggest play. Awesome. We like Shane Zylstra, and this is something I think he doesn't make the team. I think he makes the practice squad because of Jack Campbell, but he's shown that in the regular season as well. So good there. He flashed out in the end of the day, and he beat out Anthony Pittman, who to me is a special teamer on 7-on-7 drills. Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be the best receiver, as said here. As always, Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a baller, and his connection with Jared Goff is there. He beat out Jack Campbell, and he was very noticeable. His cuts as sharp as we should be. He's the line's #1 wide receiver, and it was really nice to see. But a standout there was rookie Dylan Drummond out of Eastern Michigan. He looked uncoverable. Granted, he was playing third and fourth stringers. So if this continues, you need to get Dylan up there with the second stringers and the third stringers, not just the fourth and third stringers, but get them up there with the second, potentially first at some point. That'll be more of a training camp thing. I would love to see an undrafted guy come in there and do a really good job and make the football team. That's what it's all about. I love this part, and it was Halapoulivaati Vaitai at right guard and Matt Nelson. Halapoulivaati Vaitai said he's being smart, and he will be ready for training camp. Huge news. This is the one thing I've been waiting for. Right guard position. Is Big V able to get this thing going? And yes, he said he'll be ready for training camp. This is the biggest news from OTAs. All this other stuff that we can talk about, great. But having Big V available for training camp and being healthy, absolutely good. Absolutely good. Man, Joan Jackson, Frank Ragnow, we're not in the first team reps. Who cares? They're going to be playing in the regular season. But Big V, to me, is the biggest news coming out of this whole thing at the right guard position. Loved seeing that. Benito Jones, Isaiah Buggs in the lineup with Christian Covington played first team nose, and Aleem playing mostly at the 3-tech, most common 5-man front deployed. Romeo, Christian, Aleem, John Kaminsky, and Aiden Hutchinson. Not bad. I think the Covington thing's interesting. I want to see, get to see a little bit of him. I haven't heard anything about this guy, so he's getting some time there. But definitely Isaiah Buggs will get his. Benito Jones may not even make the roster. And obviously Broderick Martin will be up in there as well. But nothing really noticeable there. Remember, you can't even touch anybody. So you're not going to get a lot of observations from the defensive line. Let's be honest here. Derek Barding starting alongside Alex Anzalone. Alex Anzalone, the first pads, bar progression, position now in year 3. He says really grown a ton. I've never seen. I'm going into my 7th year in the big mental transition college. He puts in the work, studies hard, grows the ball defender, middle linebacker in the NFL. It's way different. That said, Jack Campbell took reps at the Mike position with the second team, which seems position he's destined to play eventually. And I do agree that eventually he will be that. Alex Anzalone, though, is the veteran. He's going to be there for the starting, but eventually I think it does get him integrated. And Malcolm Rodriguez was the will position, second team defense, left with a hip injury, and we talked about that. Jalen Reeves-Maben stepped in. He was injured. He left. I don't think it's serious. Jalen Reeves-Maben, to me, he'll play linebacker in preseason, but he's a special teamer. Let's be honest here. As expected, Cam Sutton, Josh Jacobs man the outside corners because of Ozzie injury still to Emmanuel Mosley. C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Will Harris man the slot. That would be Gardner-Johnson's position for sure when starting that and safety. Obviously, Tracy Walker is practicing, and that was nice to see. He'll be ready for training camp, he said. That's a big thing. And that's absolutely great. Gardner-Johnson dropped back to safety, as we all expected. Said before practice, they're using Gardner-Johnson in the nickel. He'll be safety. We knew that. Special teams out there, you had St. Brown, Raymond, Maurice Alexander doing the punts. Nothing new there. I think we all expected that for sure. Tom Kennedy continues to beat up on the second and third team defenses. Tom Kennedy is the man for sure for the Detroit Lions in the wide receiver for preseason. So a lot of good things there. To me, it was definitely the Big V was the biggest noticeable one here because he was injured all last year. So him at the right guard position is great. I love seeing it. It's very good for the Detroit Lions. Nothing else really new, in all honesty. I think it's pretty much we all expected there. Gambling thing is an issue for sure, but let me know if there's anything else that interests you in the comments section. Talk about the gambling. Talk about OTAs. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below.